So let's talk about this book. First off, it is a very unique story. So I want you to talk about the format and the perspective of this story and tell us a little bit more because it is different.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. So I really, it's for 5 students. They're all seventh graders, and it's one day. So throughout the whole book, it's one day. You get to see what the day looks like for each student before school, during school, after school, and then nighttime. And there's one event that happens for, Ashley is one character in Kanisha, and something goes on with them. Some little thing is said, and it makes this whole thing happen. And so throughout the book, you see how that one little thing kind of snowballs and affects all the 5 of these students. Um, but I really want it so you see the same scene through Ashley's eyes, then through Kanisha's, but you might see, wow, what is going on? Like, so and so is not a good person, like, but that the whole point of the book is to kind of like, so that wasn't a great choice, but there's things in the background, like the backstory. That's the whole backstory. So we all have things that we've experienced that not everybody's going to know. They're going to see the behavior, but that's tied to a need. So it's I every student is connected in some way, and that one event just makes the whole day turn out to be different.
Yeah, and it was so fun. Each chapter is from the perspective of one of the students at a different times during the day and that overlap. And what also is so unique about it is each the perspective that you get to see from each of the students, the details of their family situations, that backstory that they bring with them, and that underlying that theme of we don't always know the whole story, and how it develops, and those that different perspective. It's just so much fun. That had to have been a challenge to write.
Yeah, that's part of why it took so long. Like I really I'm really practicing when I'm trying to I'm like putting myself in it's like what these students could be, because part of it is like based on my life and what I've, like I drew from things and then I expanded. But it definitely was an exercise in perspective and what it could be, um and like two people can experience the same thing, but it's actually experienced in very different ways.
Yeah.
So
Well, and not only the five characters. So we have Ashley, Kanisha, Tara, Ryan, and Andrew. But then also their families are such a key part of it. There is the school counselor. There's all of those different pieces that are so great to see too, about giving kids, giving the readers an opportunity to look at things through either someone that they very much relate to because of very similar family situation, kind of life experiences, but then also someone that they don't relate to, and seeing the thing through other people's eyes, and that is
mhm.
such an amazing part of the story too.
Yeah, I really wanted the characters to be relatable. I
Yeah.
wanted them to be complex, like they're complex, you know. Um,
Yeah, that's definitely true of where complex and the evolution that they go from from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. And again, I cannot say enough the opportunities for those conversations and looking inside their thoughts of how they feel about their parents, their siblings, their friends, themselves during the day, and really challenging some of the that being honest about where don't want to give away too much of the story, but Kenesha has to come to terms with some jealousy, but the of a friend, but then a lot of that jealousy comes back to a very traumatic experience in her life, and coming to terms with that, with the grief. And I think another key part that you pulled in there, great, obviously, because you are a school counselor, is helping kids to know the supports that they have and being able to reach out to them, of where drawing that connection in of where if your parents, adults in your life, that there is a teen, older kid in there that is also a mentor that is very helpful. So it really gave some opportunities to show some different connections and maybe empower students to reach out, feel comfortable to reach out to some of those resources.
Yeah, and resiliency is another thing for me,
Yes.
and empowering. So there are things that you can do, the protective factors, like you do have some power in increasing your protective factors and your resiliency. Like we all go through tough stuff, and we all, like, I want the students to know, like, to be empowered. I think that's a great word. Um, and to reach out. And another thing I wanted, like modeling healthy communication.
Mm-hmm.
When I when I first wrote the book, the students were very, very precocious. Like some of their, I was working with Erin, and she was like, we got to make sure that this is the, how seventh graders actually talk. And I was like, okay, we do. But I definitely wanted that modeling of that communication. That's a big thing too.
Well, and there was some honest times too of where when because it takes place on a Friday, so then that gave an opportunity to look at they weren't getting ready for the next school day. They were getting ready for in the evening. And so Ashley, when she wanted to, her mom, maybe they want to watch a movie, and she's just like, no, I need to be by myself, and communicating that and being okay with that, of where experiencing those feelings and being honest with yourself. And that can be hard for kids to figure out and feel okay with. And again, it as going through the different chapters, and this is a chapter book. It's a long book. How many? It's 178 pages. Is that
172, something
seven?
like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a good challenging book. It's good for the age it's written for. Good vocabulary in there too. So many different things. In addition to the important lessons that it teaches, there's so much of additional, just that other types of skill development that will happen too.